I bought this pile of junk for $125. Let's see how good that purchase was. Yeah, so look at this YTS 3000. It's got a pretty jacked up 21 horsepower Briggs. Missing obviously the air intake cover. Previous owner did some questionable activities over here. Must have really wanted to get access to the starter, or maybe he had to replace the starter and just did not, for the life of him, want to remove the cover, which I guess this was a lot easier to sawzall it like that. Not really sure. And then in the process probably broke the oil cap. Yep, we got some pretty flat tires over here, and I mean, I kind of wish I kept it. It had this contraption on the front when I picked it up. It looked like, so it had a built hitch with slotted angle iron and some 2x4s, and then a hitch ball out in the front, like they were trying to move around trailers or a boat or something. It was really terribly done, and just like bolted on haphazardly to the frame. And yeah, I had to remove that just to get it onto my trailer, so that was a problem. But supposedly this will run. I mean, the engine's free, and you know, it's going to need a new engine cover. But you know, this Husqvarna is nice. This looks like it would have electric start, and I was told this one should run too. Just the person who owned it just got a little fed up with it, probably wasn't starting. So the rest of the stuff I know nothing about. I was just kind of messing around with this. This seemed like it wanted to fire off, and it has a bag of goodies with it, and a carburetor and fuel filter, spark plug, primer bulb, some fuel line, you know. So seems like we're probably going to be doing a carburetor on that, and it just, you know, I'm sure it doesn't run right. And yeah, as far as the deck goes, it's okay. It's getting really crinkly and bubbly right here. So if I were to pressure wash this thing would look a lot worse. So it's one of those things, like, you could not pressure wash it and just wipe it down and it will look pretty nice. But you know, after someone cleans it, it's not going to look nice anymore. So one of those things, you know, what do you do? You could make this a black mowing deck. That might be the route I go with. Grind it down, paint it black. That'll look just fine. And that's a lot easier than trying to match the red. I think everything looks pretty good on this fender. Doesn't really look like there's much chipping paint. A little there. Hood is okay. Sitting a little crooked. Needs to be straightened out a bit. Maybe missing something in here. I don't know what's on the other side. Well, maybe not. So yeah, seat's in good shape. Hand control hydro. I think we're going to be all right with this. We'll figure it out. It's June 24th. I have not worked on the tractor yet, but I have worked on the Husqvarna lawnmower, and I have a pair next to it. I found lately that it's kind of nice to group two lawnmowers together when you're selling them on Facebook Marketplace. Seems to kind of help display the differences between the two and why one might be more expensive than the other if you put two up there. Because like, I know comparables and things like that, but other people don't, and it gives them an option. And this is kind of like Facebook Marketplace strategy here, but I listed this for $300 and this for $275. This one, you'll remember, I forget what number it was, but it was from my 12 lawnmowers video, the all-wheel drive. I replaced the rear wheels and the blade, I think. Might have been more, but did it get a new carb? I don't know, something like that. Anyhow, and then this one I just purchased with the, came with the deal with the red Craftsman, and I went all out on this one I put in a new battery. I got the battery charger, the wall thing too, and so electric start works. You could charge the battery with the wall. I got a new primer bulb for it because the original one was cracked. Cleaned the carb, did the valves, sharpened the blade, and yeah, this thing's pretty sweet. Got this listed for $300. So yeah, it takes a little cranking. I mean, that starter motor is not all that impressive. Neither is the battery, but it does it every time. Just takes a little bit of cranking and eventually goes. It's actually way better now that I did the valves. It starts way easier. Well, actually the primer bulb too. It was impossible to start with the old primer bulb. But yeah, pull start is honestly a much easier option for me. But hey, if you want, it's got electric start and a wall 12-volt charger. Yeah, it's a little while later. It's another rainy Saturday, summertime in Connecticut, but it is not very warm out at all. It's been a strange summer, lots of rain. All right, we're back on the project here. As I showed you a little while ago, I got the Husqvarna running and for sale. Hasn't sold yet. But it's time to give this engine a little bit of a closer look. It is just terrifying. Besides that, tractor's in pretty good shape. Deck is in decent shape. Might need a paint job. We'll see. Can't remember if I showed you guys, but I tried to fire this engine off and there's just so much blow by coming out. I'll show you, but it made a mess on my camera and everything, so I'll back this thing up. And I can kind of see, I guess the guy lost the cap and then he went with the rubber glove method, who knows. And yeah, I think this thing's gonna need a head gasket. That's my guess initially, but let's show you guys what it does. All right, stand back everybody. I actually didn't know it was gonna run. I'd never seen it run. I cranked it once or twice and it did all that business, but it never actually fired off. Well, hopefully that was fun. That's a cool sign though. I'm glad the engine runs. Problems for future Kyle. But for now, we're gonna get this engine cover off. The engine cover's no good, so you might as well just throw it away. Pretty sure I have one for it, so I'm not too worried about the plastics. We'll be able to come up with a solution for that. But yeah, we got to get access to this head and see what's going on. That's my theory, at least. What do you guys think on the initial startup there? Do you think it's a head gasket? It shouldn't have that much blow by, that's for sure. So that's what I'm thinking. Time lapse over. Let's take a look together here. Oh yeah. Well, that might have just ripped on my end, but take this thing off and we'll take a close look here. It's a pretty beat up head gasket. Might be hard to tell if we can't get it off in one good piece. Yeah, I really don't want that stuff getting down into the cylinder. Got a lot of oil sitting on top of the piston, so that makes sense for all this blow by. Yeah. I don't know, actually. That part was intact. I don't know, kind of a mess. Not really sure. Not terribly conclusive. So I have a new head gasket in my stash, so we'll get this all cleaned up and we'll put one on. I mean, you can never go wrong putting on a new head gasket on a Briggs and Stratton single cylinder. So let's at least do the job and then we can test it again. And when you're putting the push rods back in, it's the steel one is on top, and that's the trickiest one to actually find where it sits in there, but the aluminum one is on the bottom. But we'll get them in the right spot, but steel on top, aluminum on the bottom. Just doing the valves by hand. I just finished, and then I take the feeler gauge out to see what I've done, and I got 3/1000ths there on the bottom and 4/1000ths at the top. It might be more like, I don't know, maybe it's more like 4 and 5. Let's try 4 and 5/1000ths. So we'll do 4. Yeah, it's 4 on the bottom and 5 on the top. So I'm happy with that. I have a valve cover gasket too, which is nice. I had that lying around. Always good to have stuff on hand. Just makes the projects go so much faster. Sometimes you forget about like ordering things like that, or you don't realize you're going to be getting into that sort of stuff. But nice to have a set of gaskets around. Head gasket, valve cover gasket, sump gaskets, seals, all good stuff to have. All right, this is what I had lying around. Ha! How about that? What was on here before? A 21 horsepower. Okay, so this is 19 and a half. They're the same engine. I bet it's even says 500 cc. Oh no. The 21 is 540 cc. Okay. Yeah, we can always try to transfer over the sticker, or just whatever. Not worry about it. This too. Nice. Oil looks very good. Smells like gasoline, so it's probably pretty thin. But yeah, we're right between the two dots. So at least we have some liquid in there. Ugh. How about here? There's gas. Smells okay. Not great, but I know we already fired it up on all this, but let's give it another try here. Well, we still have a whole bunch of blow-by. Well, it's just starting to stumble here. I thought I was gonna die. Well, it seems like we have a bad idler down there. There, seat safety works. All right. Well, it's doing something. Yeah, not sure if it's normal to have that amount of blow-by. I don't think it is. And then it started to run like garbage there at the end. I mean, who knows what's in this tank? That's probably my fault for, you know, assuming there wasn't water in there. So it could just be picking up water. But I'm probably being too optimistic. This thing is probably toast. It's probably got bad rings or something. Yeah, rough. Yeah, this is what's coming out of the tank here. I don't know if you can see that blob at the bottom. That's water. So there's a lot of water in the fuel. So yeah, that's my bad, guys. I definitely should have looked into that better. So I'm gonna get the carb off the engine here and give it a good clean. I'm really leaning towards this needing new rings, but I'm going to check one other thing, and that's to see if this breather is clogged. Kind of looks like I need to take the flywheel off to get access to it, so we might be doing that. If that's not clogged, then at least I have the flywheel off, and then we'll take the engine apart and we'll put rings on it. Yeah, what are the chances this breather is clogged, huh? Probably not what it is, but you know, if we're gonna take the whole engine apart and get the piston out, we might as well at least check to see if this crankcase breather is clogged for some reason. Nothing about it looks clogged. Everything seems fine to me. I guess I could remove that little 1/4 nut there. See any issues? I'm not. No, I can see right down in there. I mean, and there's a lot of oil up here. Guess we're taking apart this engine. Didn't think we were going that direction with this project. I just cleaned off both the surfaces. I actually had a gasket for this, so I'm just going to put this back together here. Well, I just dropped the oil and I'm sort of second guessing that the rings might be bad. I mean, this is like not oil, it's gasoline. I mean, there's almost no oil in there. It's so thin. I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to put things back together here before we get too deep. I have the starter off, I have the flywheel off. Like, would that do it? I'm gonna look that up. I don't know. It might still be bad rings, but that's that really isn't oil in there. So I tried to think like a viewer. If I were you, I'd like to see it both ways. I'd like to see this engine try to run with fresh oil in it. And that's what I did. So I put everything back together. It didn't take long. Got the gas tank cleaned. Got the carburetor cleaned. Obviously we have the new head gasket and valves set and all that sort of stuff. We have fresh oil in it now, so let's give it a crank and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we'll drop that oil again. We'll take the engine apart and place an order. There's some OEM rings for like $100. There's aftermarket rings for $30, so that's what we're looking at right now. But let's give this a try. Doesn't idle perfectly, but I cleaned the carb again and starting to run a lot better at full throttle. There's no choke on that either, so that's full throttle sounds good. Stumbles a little bit at idle. That's a little better. Made a little adjustment there. Not perfect. But yeah, I did place an order for rings, so. But this is pretty weird that it's running halfway decent now. I just drove it around a little bit and it's running even better now. Bring that idle down a little bit. Boy, this is a weird one, guys. If I never showed you that oil cap, you wouldn't know this thing had blow-by. Whoa! Wow, and then listen to it run differently. There's so much pressure in the crank. That's pretty wild. Yeah, okay, so some of the issues are showing themselves there where it's not running as good as it can. because there's so much pressure in the crankcase. So this is a different one for me, but I put in an order for rings and we'll be doing rings on this. Well, the spacing on the rings wasn't too good. The gaps were nearly lined up. That could have been it. Curious to see what they look like in there and what kind of clearance we have. Wow, it doesn't look bad at all. I'll have to look up what the ring gap's supposed to be, but I'll show you here. So I'm getting like a 16 thousandths in there. I have to look it up. It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't seem that bad to me, but I'll check the other one too. Well, this lower ring's a little bit more. It's more like a 24 thousandths. Doesn't look like much has moved or changed, but it's actually been several days, and I've been dancing around all the stuff that's on my shed floor. But I'd love to get this engine put back together. Our ring set came in, so we're gonna get the piston all built, and hopefully this all goes well. Yeah, like I discovered, it didn't appear like the ring gap was all that extreme. I'm not going to say I'm an expert at measuring it, but maybe it was worn a little. So I'm sure hoping that this does the job. Alright, we'll be doing our absolute best here to attempt to explain. I'm not an expert at this, but I guess I'm doing it on film, so gotta try to at least explain a little bit. Alright, so from what I was able to Google and everything about this Little Red Barn piston ring set is mostly to do with the middle and top ring, but we're going to do the oiler ring first. So we're just going to get one of these thin little rings. It doesn't matter which one you do first. Then you're going to get the most unique ring with all these little crimples in it. That's going to go next. It's basically the sandwich piece, the piece that gets sandwiched by the rings, the oiler rings. A little trouble with that crinkled ring, so I'm going to put that one in first. And we'll try to sandwich it with the actual oiler rings. That looks better, sorta, kinda. Over here is not cooperating. Oh, it's just because it's... There we go. Oh, I got a customer here, sell a lawnmower. Okay, just sold a Honda push mower for $220. Nice. Alright, let's talk about these middle and top rings. So there's a bevel. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but the instructions online, not the instructions that came with it, because those didn't really make much sense, but the instructions online, there's a little a bevel on the inside edge, and on the middle ring you want it to be facing down, and on the top ring you want the bevel to be facing up. So it's kind of like a sandwich, like the bevel kind of makes sense to me, like if you can picture. It's a little hard to see, but that's just with these particular rings. I think every ring set is a little bit different. Like the OEM Briggs ones, they have some paint markers on the edge of the rings that you want to look out for. These don't have any paint. They have this bevel. The rings are actually identical. You could easily just flip them by accident, but you have to pay attention to that. So, all right, let's see if we can gently sneak this into the lower one, the one in the middle. All right, we got our bevel facing up on this top ring. And then we're gonna clock our ring gaps. So right now they're together, but I'm gonna pivot the top one so it's like 180 degrees outside of it. You can also clock the oiler ring gaps, because there's two of them. You want one to be the gap there and one to be the gap there. They don't have to coordinate with the middle and top ring, but just the two rings of the oiler should be not lining up, whereas you would lose compression. So there we go. There's a piston with rings. There's an arrow on the piston that will point to the flywheel, so just make sure you're putting it in the correct way so that that's pointing towards the flywheel. And got to use our ring compression tool. Let's see if I can get it here. This thing, we're going to use that to sandwich our rings as tight as we can, compress them, and then we'll just use like a wooden handle dowel and knock this piston down into the cylinder, and hopefully not break any of the rings, especially like the middle ring likes to get chipped. If you don't get everything right, you're going to be bashing this piston in, a lot of pressure. If that ring snags on the cylinder, like the rim of the cylinder, you could easily break your rings. I've done it before. Very frustrating. You got to order new parts, so we'll try not to do that. So just to give you a little idea what you're doing here with the ring compressing tool, and you can see how hopefully tight it is here. Place this down on the cylinder and pop that in. Hopefully it goes. Keep the oil flow going. I'm gonna have to clean up this head still, but I don't know, for some reason I'm doing things in this order. Alright, arrow is facing the flywheel, so we got the right orientation. Got our rubber mallet, so we can get this blade of grass out of there. Good. We actually got it first shot. That's great. Okay, so we have the connecting rod installed and tightened down. I have to clean up, like I said, the gasket surfaces on the head and here in the crankcase. So I'll get that done and then I'll just report back. All right, we have the cam timed up, governor in. We got the sump gasket on. All the surfaces are cleaned over here. We're gonna keep on rolling. Yeah, we're set up here in the yard to get a power wash. I want to put the engine on the frame to do to set the valves and, you know, finish off the work on the engine. I got to put the flywheel on, and I want to get it kind of bolted down to do all that stuff so everything's secure. And I don't want to put it down on top of this absolutely disgusting frame. Yeah, you can see in there there's a lot going on, so we got to get this thing cleaned up. Morning, everybody. Carmen and I have been working on the engine here. Got it all put back together, valve set, all that good stuff. Shroud is completely on, everything's hooked up, carburetor's back on. But we have to do another service to this thing. Well, we've changed the oil once, we're going to change it again. But I have a little Amazon special here, new air filter, fuel filter, oil filter, spark plug. Got to fill the engine with oil again, fresh oil, not the same stuff that came out before. Yeah, and then we're gonna really just hope and pray. And we're gonna do one of these, like, come on, come on, come on, come on, and it's gonna be tons of blow by again. Just you wait. There'll be some other catastrophic problem. Yep, I don't know, we'll see. But I hope it really does the job here. I hope those rings did it for us. This actually didn't come from my package I just ordered, but it is an Amazon fuel filter. You know, you got to check these things, because sometimes the thing they're supposed to do, they don't do. Yeah, there you go. That one doesn't leak. But that's why it's always good to install a fuel shutoff, especially for gravity systems. Hook up the wiring harness. That'll help the solenoid. So I just ran a compression test. I have like 160. Well, I just tightened up the valve some more to see if that would, you know, allow the engine to have a little less compression. To no avail. Still lots of blow by. I was ironically thinking about this engine over here. This was an engine I tried to use on another project before I just went out and bought one. This one, you know, according to some of the comments on the video, they were saying it had too low of compression, because this one really only had about 60 psi. And I was like, well, it's got compression release, so, you know, you're not going to see the full compression, but 60 is probably too low. This one has 160, and that's at the very high range. So I'm starting to doubt the compression release mechanism in here. You know, if it's the compression release, so the compression release is on the cam. That's why I didn't have any problems with it. When I opened up the engine, I saw a cam had compression release. I was like, okay, you know, obviously I could replace it, because they do typically go bad, but I just, whatever, you know, I didn't replace it. If that's what's wrong, if somehow that thing, although it's still on the cam, is faulty, that would explain why the rings didn't seem all that bad and the head gasket didn't seem all that bad on this engine at first, but it had blow by. Just too much compression. And somehow we're still able to start it. It just hasn't been an issue. And, you know, this engine seemed to just have like mixed matched parts, meaning like maybe the rings were wrong. So like, it's kind of funny, like low compression, probably bad rings, good rings, high compression, probably bad compression release cam. So I don't know, I'm thinking I'm gonna crack open this parts engine, steal the compression release, because that's a new one in there, open this back up, put a new compression release in, and then try it again. Some of the reason why that's not terribly hard to do is because I don't have to take the head off again. You know, I'm really trying to avoid putting a third head gasket on it. I feel like every time you take the head off, you have to put a head gasket on. It just kind of rips apart. I'd like to not do that. I don't have any more head gaskets here. So yeah, we can take the crankcase apart. It's got a gasket, so that should go back together just fine. We could probably even leave the oil in it. No, because we're gonna have to tip it on its side. All right, we're gonna drain the oil. I think there's oil in that engine too. Drain the oil on that one, rob its compression release, plop it into this one. We got another couple hours of work ahead of us here, but yeah, it'll be worth it if we get something that runs right. What a good guard dog. Protect us from those joggers. All right. 2 engines apart over here. Here is the camshaft with the compression release. You can see it's there. Maybe it doesn't work well. I don't know. But we're gonna swap it out with the one that came out of that other engine, which I do know is new and has never run. So is there a difference in like the springiness? Doesn't really seem so, but we'll give it a try. I guess we have nothing else to lose, right? I mean, it's either that or we think just like the cylinder is too worn out, you know, and that's why there's so much blow by. I really don't know. We are back together. I am messy, but I'm dying to know if this fixes it. Of course, we got to get the jump pack to cooperate. Oh boy. Why is it running like that? Don't do this to me. Oh my gosh. It's backfiring and doing crazy stuff like what the other engine did with that cam in there. I am just scratching my head like crazy. Like there's huge amounts of I'm almost afraid to run it anymore. The amount that it's backfiring. I don't have timing wrong. I got that put back together correctly. This is nuts. Okay, it just cleared up. It just cleared up. It's running perfectly. Still has massive blow by. What the heck? Oh boy. Must be a bad engine. Just came back from Tractor Supply with a new battery. I think I was having solenoid issues with like the jump pack and getting the solenoid to activate, and like maybe that was why I was backfiring, because now it's starting up normally. So I don't know what's going on with that, but picked up some water from the bottom of the tank, but it's been much better. So I posted a YouTube short and just demonstrating the blow-by coming out of the dipstick tube, and it has about 1,600 views, 11 comments. Pretty much everyone says I'm crazy. They're saying this is a very regular amount of oil blowing out of the dipstick tube. Small engines are different than larger car and truck engines. You know, this person says it's fine, that's normal. This person says, pretty sure most small engines will blow out of the dipstick hole while running. I've got oil stains on my ceiling from starting it up like that. It's fine. You can't remove a dipstick on a running small engine. Any mower will do this. It's another comment. Someone leaves like a comment like, is this a pressure lube engine or a splash lube? And then someone comments to that, it's fine, bro, run it. There's not a single comment that says, you know, that's way too much or something like that. To me, I don't know. I mean, maybe I just don't have that much experience popping the dipstick out while it's running. I don't know. I don't normally do that. I think it's just because this thing came without a dipstick, had a rubber glove over it. The first time I fired it up, it's shooting out of that rubber glove, and that was very alarming to me. So it might just be me. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe this thing didn't need any of the work I just did. But hey, that was fun. And we successfully did new rings. That's pretty cool. I haven't had too much luck with that, so I'm actually kind of excited now. And for the life of this engine, right? New rings, new cam with compression release, new gaskets and things like that. Like, this is pretty sweet. So I gotta obviously test it to make sure, like, in my mind, this is good. But regarding the shroud, I have another solution. Don't ask why it's over here. I was just playing with the dog. But I have another shroud that actually has the air box cover. It doesn't look like this actually fits on the one I have. So I might just throw this one on, you know. So I might just remove that and put that, and at least we have a complete shroud. So that's just the latest development of what we're trying to do around here. Obviously this is a 21 horsepower engine. This shroud says 19. You know, I don't think anyone will be too alarmed. I can explain to them what happened to the original shroud. And that this one is better, even though it just says 19. It's the same engine. So well, the carb had just a little bit of grit in it, not bad. As far as this gasket goes, it's not good at all. Luckily, I ordered a whole bunch of new ones, so we're gonna put in a new gasket over here. That one was right on its way out, if not already out. So we'll get this thing all cleaned up. All right, well, I'm gonna start working on these idlers down here. Well, under here. They're a little noisy, and I don't like that. So we're gonna clean them out, because I think half of them are just noisy because of the weight, like they're out of balance due to all the crud in there. But yeah, this engine is, I mean, according to the internet, running well. So I'm gonna claim some ignorance on this and just keep going with the project, and just keep willing to have my mind be changed if need be. But so far so good. I did, what did I do? I went back to the original spark plug instead of the Amazon one. I cleaned out the gas tank, I cleaned the carb, I put a new carb gasket in the carb, and it seems to run much better. Like, it seems to not want to backfire. It's, from what I can tell, it wants to backfire if you start it on choke. I don't know, but if you start it on full throttle or idle, it starts right up and it doesn't backfire. Every once in a while it might, just a little bit while starting, but I don't know, I'm keeping my eye on that. It's a little strange. I can always adjust the valves again for the third or fourth time, but those are the things I'm keeping an eye on. But let's get after these, see if we can't clean them up, and maybe pack them with grease. We're all cleaned up now. I removed all the seals on all three of these. and repacked them with grease. You can see they're looking all nice and clean. And then all the dead spaces here and the fins, all the cutouts, the debris is cleaned out of those. So I'm going to reinstall these and hopefully it's a quieter, smoother ride. Well, still making some vibration when the pulleys were engaged, and it's not those idlers. I did everything I can on those. I think it's the belt. There's a few spots in it that are lumpy. You know, just on inspection I would have left this belt, but it does make a lot of noise. So I want to solve that, because I don't want someone to test this thing out and be like, why is it making that noise? Like, it's pretty notable. So we'll see if we can solve that problem too. This thing is fun. We have a new belt, 90 inches long, half-inch belt. Let's hope this smooths out our ride here. Take it for another test ride here. Time to just mount this thing. I don't think I'm gonna do any work to it. I'm ready for this tractor to be done with. Hopefully all the spindles are good. We'll give a quick inspection right now. Oh, it has no blades. I didn't know that, or I didn't remember that. I don't know if I ever looked, but the deck looks good. All right, we gotta get some blades now. All right, we are assembled. Let's see what this thing can do. Okay, I feel like this took a while, at least took a lot of effort, probably a lot of unnecessary effort, but it all works now. So I think I found something that will put this project over the edge and make this a really desirable mower. As you can tell, it has no grass deflector and it has this bagger mount, and this type of bagger mount is for a triple bagger, So it would have 3 bins or 3 bags, and those, I don't have any of those. Pretty tricky to find, but I did acquire a double bagger. So we have a complete double bagger here with the actual bags. This is sitting upside down, there you go. And all the chutes and everything, and this is like the correct chute. Let's see if I can get it for you, where it even latches in there, and then you have a hook in the front, and it has a hook in the rear. So we have all of those things. Oh good, and it even has the one for the mid. Get the flow detector and all that sort of stuff. So we have a nice, really nice bagging system for this, and I think this is really going to make this mower stand out in the market. It's got a beautiful seat. We're going to polish this thing up really nice. I'm not going to go crazy on the deck. I'm not going to paint the deck. We have sharp blades under there, and the spindles are just fine. And I've been working on the tires too. This one needed automatic transmission fluid. I just put that in this morning, and it already seems much better. So yeah, we're really close to being done here. Obviously, we already have the engine serviced. I'm going to give it one more power wash, let it dry, clean it up, you know, clean all the plastic on the bag, and this thing's going to look like $1,000,000. So let's get this bagger attached. We got to remove that triple bin bagger mount, and we'll replace it with the dual bin bagger mount. Well, the value of this machine just went way up. Well, that was a great choice, I think, to throw a bagger onto this thing, especially since it didn't have a grass deflector. It was going to look a little incomplete if I left it like that without the deflector, but this thing seems like it was always set up to bag, so we got it returning to what it was used to doing, which is bagging grass. Now with only a double bagger instead of a triple bagger, it should be easier for the unit. Well, you know, just kind of thinking about everything, certainly I did probably way too much work to this engine than it needed. I was definitely thrown off by the amount of oil coming out of that dipstick tube, and I was, I guess, just overthinking it. Still have more comments on that YouTube short that I put up demonstrating that, and you know, pretty much there might be 2 people who are like, yeah, maybe you have a crack in the cylinder wall or something. I don't think I have that. But everyone's like, yeah, it's an oil splash lubrication system. Well, that's what happens when you take the dipstick off of a running engine. Basically like, you dummy. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess, I don't know, sorry. I'll chalk it up to a learning experience. But now we have a really like gone through machine, right? The engine's been basically completely gone through. I mean, if you're putting new rings on something, yeah, you're really doing it. So this thing is in need of another power wash and a polish, and we're going to keep checking on those tires, but I think we're right there. I think we're almost ready. Oh, I do want to put the right sticker on here. I took off the sticker for the 19 horse, and I've been keeping that the 21 horsepower sticker, and I'm going to remove that and eventually put that on, but I'll do that after I power wash it again, because it'll likely peel up again. Finished product, everybody. I almost can't believe how quickly I've come around on this thing. Getting a little advice from the online community went a long way for me. And, you know, maybe I learned a little bit of something on this project. That's okay. It's always good to learn new things. And in the end, I think we have a pretty awesome machine with a lot of good engine work done. Adding the bagger is like the cherry on top. You guys got to let me know how much you think this thing is worth. It's the 4th of July today, and I want to wish everybody a happy Independence Day. It's also a beautiful day and really a great day to work on a tractor and to finish this thing up. Again, we are working on this 2009 Craftsman YTS 3000. It's got the 21 horsepower Briggs single, and we did a lot of, maybe some extraordinary amount of work to this. So hopefully you enjoyed the engine content on this one. But in the end, a really nice tractor, and I'm hoping to sell this one for pretty big bucks. It's shiny, it's red, it's got a bagger, and finally I do have one for all the people who keep asking for a bagger. They can buy this one. And you guys let me know, would you advertise all the engine work that you did on this, or would you just sell it as a 21 horsepower Briggs? I kind of go back and forth, because I think sometimes when people see that you put new rings in it and a new compression release camshaft, that deters people, unfortunately. You would think, like, they would be like, oh sweet, you did a head gasket, that's great. But I think most people, for whatever reason, they want to find a tractor that's had zero work done, it's always worked flawlessly, and then someone's selling it for a cheap price. That's what I think people want. Kind of unrealistic, but a lot of times that's how people are asking me questions, and I'm like, no, I work on them, I fix them, I did this, I did that. They're like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm like, oh, okay, I could put the bad parts back in if you want. But we'll see how this one does out here. Like, we're getting towards, you know, the hot days of summer, grass is slowing down, people are on vacation. Usually the prices aren't sky high on equipment, but always nice to hit the market with like a beautiful machine that's like right where everyone wants it to be. You know, several years old, got the bagger, still looks great, all that sort of stuff. You got to take the right pictures, show a video, you know, be cooperative and helpful with people, and I'm pretty sure I'll get it sold pretty quick. So thank you guys, appreciate all your support here. We're coming up pretty close to me being 2 years on YouTube, and I just want to say thank you again to my viewers for all the comments, likes, and shares. And you know, please share my videos to friends, get some more subscribers here, and see the channel grow. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.